can continue to do the cruisers the way we currently do, where we purchase one car a year. Unfortunately, there is an increased cost this year due to replacing the laptop in the car.
Okay.
The other way to do it is to lease 3 vehicles. The purchase of one vehicle this year with the increase due to the laptop would cost the town $39,085.80. To do the lease, we could lease 3 cars. It's $30,882.90. So that would be a $3,000 savings over what we currently budget each year for our
Part
cars.
of your CIP, is this in the CIP?
The cruisers are not in the CIP because they're under $50,000.
And they are in the budget.
They're in my budget, yes. Currently, the cruisers are on, we replace the cruisers on a 5-year cycle currently. So by leasing the cars over a 4-year period, we would recycle those 3 cars on a 5th year. My plan is to, with the other 2 vehicles, one being the chief's vehicle, one being the pickup truck, which we get many more years out of the pickup truck than we do the frontline sedans, is to replace those out of the detail line. You'll see that the lease company does give us a 4-year and a 5-year plan. MLC is much cheaper than Mears, and the 5-year plan is a $25,000 per year cost. The problem with the 5-year plan is that we're pushing the cars up to 6 years before we were to replace them. Pushing the cars up to 6 years is going to put us pretty high on miles, and it'll start costing us more to maintain the vehicles than it will in anything else. We currently budget $34,000 a year for a car.
You're a mind reader. That's what I was just looking up.
So
Okay.
if we do the 1-year purchase, the singular purchase this year, the other $5,000 would come out of the detail line to pay for lighting and things to that nature.
So if we would do the lease, it'd be $33.50, $528, $24.
Yeah, $30,880.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong line. Yeah, 30,000, not 30 feet. Looking at
The 33 is the second company.
Yep.
Their interest rate is quite a bit higher.
Yep.
Obviously, with a lease, you do pay an interest rate. With MLC, the interest rate is 2.8. So over the total cost of the 4 years, it would cost us about $6,000. What the lease allows us to do is it allows us to fix multiple problems in 1 year instead of if we purchase a single car per year and we only replace 1 laptop per year on the cruisers, and by the time the 5-year cycle comes around, we're back probably having to replace those laptops again because it's technology and they're probably out of date.
Right. My only question is, in the budget, in your budget, where it says the purchase of a cruiser, would a lease be covered in that?
It should say purchase lease.
Yeah, it does.
And according to the town's attorney, it is.
Okay.
The town is able to lease the cruiser. Before we even started looking at this, town administrator and I asked for the town attorney to give us a legal review on that.
Yeah, it does say purchase
It
lease.
does, okay. Yep. What are your thoughts, guys?
So you're running these cruises 5 years?
We're currently running in 5 years. What usually happens with the cruisers is they run 4 years as a frontline car, and then the 5th year car, that goes to the chief of police because
Okay.
normally we get the least amount of miles. The car that I currently have, that I've been driving, I've had it for the year, and we're about 22,000 miles already on it. So it's not getting the least amount of miles anymore as they would.
Okay.
Now, you haven't spent that $34,000 this year out of this budget, correct?
No,
Okay,
this
so-
is this year's purchase of our cruisers.
Okay, I was just looking, it said first payment of $30,000 due at funding. That's what I said.
We haven't spent any money out of the cruiser purchase line because we've been trying to finalize and get all of these numbers put together so we can bring the entire package to the board at one time.
Yep.
To me, it seems a bit of a more cost-effective way to get the items we need replaced in a quicker period of time
By going with the 4-year instead of the 5-year?
by going with the lease in general, yeah.
All right.
The 5-year puts us out to a 6-year on the cars. I'm not trustworthy enough of the cars to go out the 6-year. The utilities that we have, it's holding up very well. And all of the PDs that we've communicated with, theirs are holding up with heavy miles very well. But it is Ford's first cycle of real all-wheel drive cars with law enforcement beating on them. It's not just driving around for an everyday go-getter for us as a family. It's heavy speeds, stop and go, a lot of U-turns, those type of things. A lot of wear and tear to that all-wheel drive system. I don't feel comfortable pushing that car up to 6 years as a frontline car.
Now, have we asked the question, because if we agree with the lease, we are committing future boards to a lease. Have we asked the question, can we legally do that? Can we?
According to the town's attorney, we can.
Okay.
According to the town's attorney, we could enter into a lease to purchase the cruisers.
Okay.
And that's why we went forward with this. Correct, Liz?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure that we're not going to get ourselves in bind, you know.
According to him, because it's a default item, we can. Because my cruiser purchase money is a default item.
Okay.
So you feel this is the best option for the town?
I feel it's the
Okay.
most cost-effective option for the town because we are able to replace things at a quicker pace. It allows us to, what the lease would allow us to do is the lease would allow us to replace the cruisers and replace the laptops in the cruisers, in the frontline cruisers, as well as with the money that was put into the capital reserve fund last year for the computers. It also allows me to replace the server this year and the 3 computers inside the building that need to be replaced this year. So it allows us to basically do 2 things at one cost for the town.
Okay.
So what happens if the budget committee decides to take that money out of the budget?
Take the money out of the budget for the cruisers,
Yeah.
and there's a non-appropriation fund in the contract, and the cars go back.
Okay.
Or we find the money to pay for it out of the grant line. No,
I mean, I don't want, I'm just trying to throw all scenarios out there that I can think of. And what do you think, guys?
Well, as always, Chief Kraus does his homework very well.
Yep.
He has all the answers when he comes here, and he's done a great job on putting this package together. I would entertain a motion for, and you're recommending MLC, correct? The lease
MLC,
company?
correct.
So what do you guys think? So I would entertain a motion to allow Chief to...
You gonna make the motion? You gotta make the motion?
I'm asking you, what do you guys think? I'm gonna...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll make the motion to have Chief Kraus enter into an agreement with the lease from MLC for the cruises, for the 4-year.
For the 4 year. For the
Yeah.
I'll second it.
And let's just take the amount too.
Okay. For $30,882.90.
And 90 cents, I think you go. And that will come out of the
Cruiser purchase line.
Yeah.
cruiser purchase line, which is line 731. Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I have to agree with Mike, you do a good presentation, Chief, you do your homework.
Better to have the answers than have to go back and ask.
That's true.
He could be a role model for the rest of the department heads, huh?
Easy, easy, we got one sitting back there, look at, you got 2 of them sitting back there. Easy, easy. We don't want an uprising.
If you don't mind, you want to present this one?
All right. Recreation,
Moderator. Oh, recreation is postponed until the 29th.
okay. Moderator. Moderator,
Yes, sir.
you want to present your budget?
We presented the budget based for 2 elections next year. Now, technically, we only have 1,
Okay.
but as we have seen in the past, if there is someone fails to fulfill their seat, or a couple of years ago, we had someone fulfill a seat for like 30 days and then resign. And then we at that point are directed by the Secretary of State to have a primary and a actual election.
Right.
So, given that potential risk, I submitted the budget based upon having our current costs with 6 election officials, cost to put together the ballot machine, etc. And then we multiplied it by 2 to cover both elections. My discussions with the town administrator was, yes, you could cut it back to 1, because technically we only really have the March election. But if we get ordered by the state to have an election or elections,
Right.
you will pay. So it's my best advice to you. It's not a, I don't mean to sound like it's a take it or leave it, but it is my best advice to you. Any funds, of course, not used would just revert to,
Right back to general fund,
right
yeah.
back to the general fund, so. But that is we went through that once. I'd rather not do it again.
Yeah,
It was painful, to say the least.
yeah, we try to scramble to find money for it.
Right.
And it's something we can't,
I mean, if
it
it's a
has to
case
happen.
of, let's say there was only, if we were forced to go through that we could actually have a hand count of ballots, if we, let's say, only had 1 Democrat and 1 Republican candidate. But the problem was when you go to the primary side, if you have 3 people in one party and 3 in another, you're almost guaranteed to be needing the ballot machine ballots, and the cost is in excess of $3,000 to have them printed and the ballot machine set up to count those ballots. So that's where it can get expensive.
Yep.
But that would be my recommendation to you, is to have
Okay,
carry the 2.
okay.
We even budgeted for an extra one in 2014. Thank God we did, because we had an extra one in January.
Yep. Last year's budget.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, you got the food in here, which is good. Food's always good.
Yeah.
Equipment maintenance, you got 20 voter booth trays? Those are the,
Yeah, the
Thing-
trays themselves are coming apart.
Yeah.
The ballot, the actual platform that you
Right.
vote on. So
Okay.
there's money carried in there too. I think we've gotten a number of serviceable years out of them. Pat's group at Public Works puts them up every year. They've always done a great job. But that's where we're finding the weakness. If people tend to lean on that tablet, if you will, while you're
Right.
voting,
Right.
it's not really meant to be leaned on. So we are seeing, every time we put them together, it's just getting tougher and tougher.
okay,
And we are required, based upon our population and potential number of voters, registered voters, to have just so many booths.
Right.
It's always full on town meeting day. There's a number of times when, I won't say we queue people, here's a booth, here's a booth.
right,
For the most recent election, no, but we're still required to put
Yep.
a certain number of booths up. And we don't really have any spares. So if we had a breakdown, we'd be in violation of state law.
okay.
And they do come through a check.
Very good. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
And the recreation, I think we asked, Karen asked, because she has a conflict tonight.
Right,
put it
right.
off to next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Chris.
Same with trustees, next on the list, and supervisors of the checklist. They'll all be heard next week.
Okay, Highway Department. Mr. Smith. Yeah, Michelle?
Line by line, Tom, or you just-
Sure, yeah, why don't you, yeah. If you could, if you don't mind.
Line by line? Okay, 110, highway salary full-time, 258,694. That is with a 1.7% COLA and 4% performance, with 45,000 in overtime. Do you have the breakdown sheet?
Yep. Yep.
So if you look at the number of events and the average cost, that would show you how I calculated the overtime.
Yep. Okay. And you usually get about 25 events a year?
That's the average.
Yeah.
I take like the last 2 or 3 years,
Yep.
count how many events that we've had, and then I just average it out.
Sure.
And last year, we had like 30 events, so it kind of pushed it up a few.
Right.
Plus, I averaged in, I went back in my data and I looked, and I average about between 6 and 8 events per November and December, so I factored that into that number.
Okay.
Part-time line, 16,721. It's also with a 1.7% COLA and a 4%. And I increased that position by 5 hours.
Okay.
I increased it to 25 hours per week.
Okay.
Elected, 58,856. That's with a 1.7 COLA and a 4%. FICA, 20,725. Medicare, 4,847. Highway training, 1,000. Employee testing, 1,000. Uniforms, 4,700. Contract services, 13,970.
Okay, that one went up a little bit?
Yep. Contract services has $4,200 in it for towing, $1,200 in it for the maintenance program, $2,000 for tree removal, $3,820 for basin cleaning,
Okay.
$250 for lift inspection, and $2,500 for street sweeping.
Do you know which one went up, or?
I added the street sweeping to that line.
Okay, all right.
Because
Gotcha.
what we had it budgeted for last year, but we went to a default,
Right,
so we ended up, I think, using the lease line to pay for it.
okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Professional services, 500.
Okay.
Electric, 5,100. Heat, 4,000.
Okay,
Water, 0.
okay,
Telephone, 3,900. Supplies, 24,506. Postage, 10. Operating supplies, 109,616. Vehicle fuel, which
That
is
one?
gasoline.
that one went down quite a,
Which one?
operating supplies, about roughly just under 7,000.
Yeah, I had a new quote on salt.
Okay,
Goes up or down depending
Right.
on. Vehicle fuel, which is gasoline, 7,000. Diesel fuel, 47,800.
yeah. That's because of new trucks?
Well, we were budgeted 36, we're at, I think, almost 0 now.
Yeah, don't those new trucks use more fuel as well?
I probably averaged between $800 and $1,000, depending on the size of the storm per truck.
Right,
It's expensive too.
Yeah.
Diesel.
yeah, it is.
Equipment maintenance, $40,000. Equipment purchase, $2,546. Equipment lease, $1. Membership and dues, $300. And miscellaneous, $1.
Any questions, guys?
That's a first-class presentation. Thank you very much, Pat.
Rich, I didn't. Which one would you like next, Tom?
Solid waste.
Full-time line, $37,947. That's with the 1.7 and the 4. Part-time salary line, $42,826. The reason for that increase is we increased Dave's hours part-time to 30 hours a week. And I added another position at 16 hours a week to that, and the reason for that is because the amount of people coming in and out of the transfer station, we can't
Traffic, I see
we can't
it.
keep up with everybody.
Yep.
Luther has to be mostly at the scales most all the
Who's at
time.
the scale, yep, and doing, you know, stickers and that type of stuff.
Right.
And receipts and everything, and handling the cash flow. And Dave is working the compactors. And when Kevin's there, he tries to go and work the other bins, but I don't know how much longer that's gonna be, you know, because he moved to Rochester, so I don't know how much longer.
Oh, okay.
He may not be here, you know.
Oh, right.
So we had talked about it, and we talked about it in a
Yep.
meeting that we had with the Board of Selectmen,
Yep.
you know,
I know, we-
months ago. And
Well, we
so
all
I budgeted for Saturday and Sunday is what I.
Now, we all recognize the fact that 2 people is just not enough up there.
Right. So I budgeted anyway, 16 hours, so that'd be Saturday and Sunday.
Yep, okay.
FICA, $5,008. Medicare, $1,172. Training, $500. Uniforms, $400. Contract services, $11,265. Disposal, $66,000. Rental, $1.
That went down a lot.
Yeah, I took all the bulky and the construction debris tipping fees out of that line because of the scales.
Yep.
So I reduced that about 30.
Yeah, just under 30,000,
Yeah.
the reduction.
Where was I? Rental, $1. Hazardous waste removal, $1. Those things come out of the revolving account. That's why. I
Okay,
do all of
right.
it. Electric, $1,200. Heat, $1,000. Telephone, $567. Supplies, $1,305. Postage, $10. Operating supplies, $1. Diesel fuel, an increase
Right.
up to $16,000. Building maintenance, $1. Equipment maintenance, $1. Equipment purchase, $1. Equipment lease, $1. Permit fees, $1. And miscellaneous, $1. So overall, the budget did go down, even though I
Oh.
added
Yep,
some to it.
been down about 5 grand. Just a little over 5 grand, good. Good job.